Hello everyone, welcome to Study with Princy channel, and today we are going to learn about cell biology. In this we are going to learn about cell structure and function. So let's continue our chapter. So our first topic in this is discovery of cell. So in discovery of cell we are going to learn about a inventory story, which is about Robert Hooke, who discovered the cell in 1665. Let's move on. So Robert Hooke in 1665 observed slices of cork under a simple magnifying device. So cork is a part of a bark of a tree. So there is a bark of a tree, so it's a part of this tree. Okay? So he took a thin slice of cork and observed it under a microscope. So you notice that partition boxes and compartments in the cork slices. So there's a cork slice and he saw some of the partitions and compartments. So there were many compartments, like a box actually. Yes, there were many compartments like bricks. These boxes appear like a honeycomb. Honeycomb was like this. So he observed them and they were like honeycomb. Okay. Next. He also noticed that one of box was separated from the other by a wall partition. Like bricks, actually like bricks. Like bricks. So he coined the term as cell. As they were like honeycomb and there were many compartments in the cork slice. So then he termed it as for each box as a cell. So what Hooke observed as boxes or cells in a cork were dead cells. That's why he didn't observe any other organs or any other parts of the cell. They were boxes, so he observed a dead cell. So cell of living organisms could be observed only after the discovery of improved microscopes. Very little was known about the cell for the next 150 years. After 150 years, there was another. Today we know a lot about cell structure and its functions because of improved microscopes having high magnification. So 150 years before, many of them invented their microscopes and also they observed under some of the bacteria cells. But the Robert Hooke, he observed them under a simple magnifying device, which is a microscope. He observed dead cells, and now after 150 years, another people or another scientists can also observe microscopes. The first dead cell was observed by Robert Hooke in 1665. Let's move into our next topic, which is the cell. Now in this topic we'll learn what is a cell. So both bricks in a building and cells in the living organisms are basically structure units. So the buildings built of similar bricks having different designs, shapes and sizes. Similarly, in the living world, organisms differ from one another but all made up of cells. So we can term that we can term that every organism, of course human, along with human or any animal or a plant, these all are made up of cells. So these cells also differ in size and shape. So that one we'll learn in the next topic. So let's continue. So a cell and living organisms are complex living structures, unlike non-living things, non-living bricks. So both bricks in a building and cells in organisms are basically structure units. The buildings, though built of similar bricks, have different designs, shapes, and sizes. Similarly, in this world, organisms differ from one another by all the made up of cells. Living is yes. So we will learn this actually. Here, where there is a question. So let's discuss as the cell in the building and the bricks in the building and the cell in the living organism differ in size, shape, and in number too. So here is a question that a hen's egg can be seen easily. It is a cell or a group of cells. So we can see hen's egg. So it's a cell or a group of cells. So here the answer is egg of a hen represents a single cell and is big enough to be seen by the unaided eye. The cell. If we break out the egg, there is some of the liquid part, white and the yellow part. So if we combine them, there is a single cell formed. As it is also being big enough to be seen by the unaided eye. So we are not using any microscope to observe it, as we can see with our naked eye. Next topic we are going to learn is organisms show variety in cell number, shape and size. As I have told you before, bricks in the building and cells in the organisms differ in number, shape and size. So we are going to differ them in this chapter, in this topic. Yes. How do scientists observe and study the living cells? They use microscopes which magnify objects. So stains, which are dye colors, these colors are also entered in these cells. First, studied in the detailed structure. If we add some dye to this to any cell, it gets dyed. And we can just see the organisms or the other organelles which are present in the cell very clearly. And then there are millions of living organisms. They are of different shapes and sizes. Their organs are also vary in shape, size and number of cells. Let us study about some of them. So can you guess the number of cells in a tall tree and in a huge animal like the elephant? Their number runs in billions and trillions. Human body has trillions of cells which vary in shapes and sizes. Different groups of cells perform a variety of functions. So one organism made up of more than one cell are called multicellular, which is if there is an organism, any organism like a human, think this is a human. As this human contains billions or trillions of microorganisms like cells. So here they are telling that if a organism is made up of more than one or two cells, more than one cell, those are called multicellular. Those are called multicellular. Multi means many and cellular means cell. So the number of cells being less in number organisms does not in any way affect the functioning of the organisms. You will be surprised to know that an organism with billions of cells, begins life as a single cell. We need to remember that organisms with billions, trillions of cells first begins with a single cell. Then it gets fertilized, and then after fertilization it gets multiplied in number, and develops in the future processes. So look at the figure. Both organisms are made up of single cell. So here the organism actually, this is a amoeba, and this is paramecium. So this paramecium and amoeba are made up of single cell. So these single celled organisms are called unicellular organisms. Uni means one and cellular means, as you know, it's a cell. So amoeba and paramecium are the examples of single cell organisms. And of course humans, animals, some of the animals, let us take elephant, a human, and many other such organisms which are made up of two or more cells. Those are called multicellular organisms. So here we can learn that a single cell organism performs all the necessary functions that multicellular organisms perform. There is an amoeba which we've seen before. It is also single-celled and it can perform every function that the multicellular organisms do. As we are multicellular organisms, we secrete, we digest our food, we respire, we grow, we reproduce, we do every function. So amoeba also does the same functions as we digest food, we recreate, we secrete, we respire, we grow, we reproduce, everything same amoeba also does, as it's a single cell. So here we can learn that similarly multicellular organisms are carried out by groups of specialized cells forming different tissues. Tissues in turn form organs. So here, first point we have learned is single cell organisms perform all the necessary functions that multicellular organisms do and or perform. And then multicellular organisms are carried out by groups. After if there are multicellular organisms are carried out by groups and specialized to form tissues. These tissues form organs. Organs form organelles, and just go on. Organs form organisms. Next, shape of cells. We have the number of cells which are single celled, multicellular. And now shape of cells. How do you define the shape of amoeba in the figure? Well, where is the figure? Yes, here. So here there's an amoeba, but can you just define the shape of the cell? It is just in this way, and if we just move the amoeba with its, when the amoeba moves, the amoeba shapes actually changes because the outer part is a liquid type, so it can change its shape. So here we are going to tell that you may say that the shape appears irregular. Yes, in fact, amoeba has no definite shape. Like other organisms. Some organisms have a definite shape. Amoeba does not have a definite shape because it appears irregular. Its shape changes minute to minute when it moves. It keeps on changing its shape. Observe the projections of varying lengths protruding out of its body. These are called pseudopodia. Pseudo means false, podia means feet. False feet. So the projections, varying lengths protruding out of this body. So these are called pseudopodia. Come on, repeats in your mind that pseudo means false and podia means feet. As we have then learned, maybe some of them may or may not. So next, these projections appear and disappear as amoeba moves or feeds. A white blood cell, which is WBC, in human blood. So in human blood there are three types of bloods actually. So there's a white blood cell, red blood cell, and plasma. White blood cells, two types of blood cells which are white and red. So white actually are less in number but are bigger in size. Red blood cells are more in number but a little bit smaller than white blood cells. Next, in human blood is another example of single cell, which can change its shape. So white blood cell also changes its shape because it's same like amoeba, which has no definite shape. But while WBC is a cell, amoeba is a full-fledged organism capable of independent existence. So white blood cell is a cell, but amoeba is a full-fledged organism capable for independent existence, as amoeba secretes, excretes, respires, digests food, reproduces, grows, etc. Next, what shape would you expect in an organism with millions of cells? So the different shapes are related to their specific functions. Generally, cells are round, spherical, or elongated. Some cells are long and pointed at the edges. They exhibit a spindle shape. Cells sometimes are quite long, and some are a branch like the nerve cell or neuron. The nerve cell receives and transfers messages, thereby helping to control and coordinate the working of different parts of the body. So here we have learned that some of the cells are rounded, spherical, elongated, some of them are long, some of them are pointed at the edges, some are spindle shaped, and some are branch like nerve cell or neurons. So here they're telling that nerve cells receive or transfer some messages which are help to control or coordinate with the working different parts of the body. Next, we can see that there's a RBC, there's a long branch nerve cell, and a spindle shaped muscle cell. Here, this is a red blood cell which is spherical in shape, and round in shape, and there's a nerve cell which is long branched, and a muscle cell spindle shaped. Next, there's a question for us. What advantage does amoeba derive by changing shape? What are the advantages? What is that? Pseudopodia, which is feet and falls in feet. So what is this false feet? The change in shape is due to the formation of false feet, which is pseudopodia, which facilitates movement and help in capturing food. So amoeba, in higher lessons we can learn how the amoeba captures its food. So first of all, the question's answer is that the pseudopodia, which helps and facilitates the movement of the amoeba and also helps in capturing the food. Next, so can you guess which part of the cell gives its shape? Components of the cell are enclosed in a membrane. So this membrane provides shape to the cell of plants and animals. So the membrane is the outer bounded boundary of the cell. The cell wall is an additional covering over the cell membrane in plant cell. So there's for example, let us take a cell. Wait a second. Let us take this as a cell. So this cell actually has a membrane bounded. This is a membrane. Let us take it as M, which is a membrane. So here the cell wall is an additional covering over the cell. So cell wall is an additional covering over the cell, means it is after the cell membrane. So this is a cell wall, which is only present in plant cells. So the important point is cell membrane is present in animal cells and plant cells. Only cell wall is the additional covering which is only present in plant cells. So this gives a shape and rigidity to these cells. Bacterial cells also have a cell wall. So actually it's not the one. Here we can learn it gives a shape and rigidity, and also it gives a protection for the cell. Cell wall gives double protection for the plant cell, and also the important point is bacterial cell also have a cell wall. Next we are going to learn about size of these cells. So the size of the cells in living organisms may be small as a millinode or of a meter. micrometer or micron, or maybe a large has few centimeters. So micrometers, which are smaller than millimeters. The cells can have micrometer in size, or some of them also are in centimeters. However, most of the cells are microscopic in size and not visible to the unaided eye. If it's an aided eye, we cannot. So if it's an aided eye, we can. So it's not visible to the unaided eye. So there's an object which is the microscope, as you all know. So they need to be enlarged or magnified by a microscope. The smallest cell. Remember, the smallest cell is 0.1 to 0.5, which is a micrometer in bacteria. The largest cell, measuring 170 millimeters and 130 millimeters, is the egg of an ostrich. So the largest egg is an ostrich egg. So it's 170 millimeters to 130 millimeters. The egg is already larger. So think about the cell, which is measuring into 170 millimeters to 130 millimeters. This is the largest cell. Largest cell is ostrich, which is present in ostrich egg, and the smallest cell, 0.1 to 0.5, is the micrometer in bacteria. There is a question here that are the cells in an elephant larger than the cells in a rat? So here they're comparing the cell of elephant is larger than rat. So is that true? The cell is larger in elephant and smaller in rat. Let us see. The size of cells, the size of cells has no relation with the size of a body of an animal or a plant. It is not necessary that the cells in an elephant be much bigger than those in a rat. The size of a cell is related to its function. For example, nerve cells, both in elephant and rat, are long and branched. They perform the same function, that of transferring message. Nerve cells we have learned before that nerve cells are used for transferring messages. So here elephant also have a nerve cell, rat also have a nerve cell. So these nerve cells are both in these elephant and rat, which are long and branched. So they both perform same functions, which is transferring messages. Either the elephant is larger than a rat. So here we have learned that there's no relation with the size of the organism, with the size of the body of the animal or a plant, for the size of the cell. Next topic, which is cell structure and functions. Let us learn the cell's structure and its functions. So you have learned that each living organism has many organs. You have studied in class 7 about the digestive organs, which together constitute a digestive system. What are the digestive organs? We have liver, we have stomach, we have pancreas, etc. So these all combine or get together to form or constitute the digestive system. Each organ, as same in this, every living organism has many organs. Yes, so each organ in the system performs different functions as a digestion, assimilation, and absorption. Similarly, different organs of a plant perform specific or specialized functions. For example, roots help in the absorption of water and minerals. Leaves, as you learned in class 7, are responsible for synthesis of food, which is photosynthesis. Each organ is further made up of small parts called tissues. A tissue is a group of similar cells performing a specific function. We can realize that an organ is made up of tissues, which in turn are made up of cells. The cell in a organism is a basic structural unit. So here we need to remember the cell in a living organism is the basic structural unit, as every organism is made up of a cell. Next we are going to learn about parts of the cell. Let us see the parts of a cell So the basic components of cell are cell membrane, cytoplasm, and nucleus. Here they didn't give the cell membrane. This is the cell membrane. So the cytoplasm and nucleus are enclosed with the cell membrane. So these are also called the plasma membrane. Cell membrane is also called as plasma membrane. So the membrane separates cells from one another and also the cell from the surrounding medium. Here we need to learn that cell membrane, nucleus, cytoplasm. These are present in every cell and these are the basic components of every cell. So we can learn that we have learned that cell membrane is the outer border of every cell, which gives protection. So here also we are, and here is another point, which is it separates cell from another, and also the cell from the surrounding medium. So here the plasma membrane is porous, and also the movement of substances or materials both inward and outward. It gives inward and outward, inward and outward works. It's a porous and allows the movement. So it allows it which need to come and which need to go. So the boundary of the onion cell is a cell membrane covered by another thick covering called a cell wall. As there is an onion cell like this, I'll show you. Just wait. This is a cell of onion cell. Now I'm going to show as it shows in this way. So here they're telling that the boundary of an onion cell is a cell membrane covered by a thick covering called a cell wall. This is a cell membrane, and it's also again covered with another one, which is a cell wall. So the central dense round body in the center is called the nucleus. So here we can see that this is the nucleus, which is here. Actually, this nucleus should be in the center. The central dense round body is in the center is called nucleus. The jelly-like substance between the nucleus and the cell membrane is cytoplasm. So here, between this membrane and the nucleus, there is some substance, white color spaced. That is this white color spaced is a cytoplasm. So we'll know about cytoplasm in the next topic, in upcoming topic. Next, okay, there's a question right here, which is I want to know why plant cells need cell walls. Yeah, I actually wanted to know why only plant need a cell wall. Why not animal? Let us see. So you have learned earlier that the cell membrane gives shape to the cell. In addition to the cell membrane, there is an outer thick layer which is in plants. It's called a cell wall. This additional layer surrounding the cell membrane is required with the plants for protection. Oh, as I've told you before, plant cells need protection against various variations in temperature, high wind speed, atmospheric moisture, etc. They are exposed to these variations because they cannot move. Cells can be observed in the leaf peel of Trescandia, Elodia roya. So here they're telling that plant cells need protection from various temperature, high wind speed, atmospheric moisture. Why only plants? Why not animals? Because animals are just migrate to one place to another when they feel this place has a temperature which is uncomfortable to the animal. Then it migrates to another comfortable or it's comfortable or favorite place. But plants cannot. If they're just grown in the one place. They just grow for their entire life. So here they are telling that they are exposed to these variations because they cannot move from one place to another, or they cannot migrate. So for example, we can observe in the leaf of Protescantia Elodia groria. Next, cytoplasm. So I've told you that we'll learn about cytoplasm in the next topic, which is this. It is a jelly-like substance present between the cell membrane and the nucleus. The jelly-like structure, I'll just show you. This is a cell. There is a nucleus or any other parts. Along with the membrane and nucleus, it is present in the between, which is this part, and this various other components or organelles of cells are present in the cytoplasm. So we can tell that a cell membrane inside contains the cytoplasm. In the cytoplasm, there are various organelles, which are nucleus, mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes. We saw many other organisms, plastids, etc. Let's go into the next one, which is nucleus. So we have learned that first we have learned about cytoplasm. First we have learned about the cell membrane. Next, cytoplasm. Now nucleus, the part of the cell. So nucleus is an important component of the cell. It is generally spherical and located in the center of the cell. It can be stained and seen easily with the help of a microscope. Nucleus is separated from cytoplasm by a membrane called the nuclear membrane. This membrane is also porous and also allows the movement of materials between the cytoplasm and inside of the nucleus. With a microscope of higher magnifications, we can see a smaller spherical body in the nucleus. It is called the nucleolus. As we can see that yes, here there's a cell. So this cell has a nucleus. This one is a nucleus. So this nucleus has another part, which is the inside the part nucleolus, and this cell is again bounded with another boundary, which is called nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane. And this is a nucleolus. This is the nucleus. So it is called the nucleolus. In addition, nucleus contains thread-like structures called the chromosomes. These chromosomes are DNA, which are genes, genetic material. These help in inheritance of transfer of characters from the parents to the offspring. The chromosomes can be seen only when the cell divides. So when the cell divides and reproduces, then we can see these chromosomes. Nucleus, in addition, it is a role in inheritance, acts as control center of the activities of the cell. It's a brain of the cell or the control center of the cell. So entire content of cell is known as the protoplasm. So the content of the cell is known as protoplasm. Nucleus is the brain of the cell or the control center of the cell. And so next, it includes the cytoplasm and the nucleus. Protoplasm is called the living substance of the cell. Protoplasm, living substance of the cell. Nucleus, brain or center of control of the cell. Entire content of cell is known as a protoplasm. Next, yes, here we can see that. Let's learn about a vacuole. What is a vacuole? While observing any cell under a microscope, did you notice any blank-looking structure in the cytoplasm? Here we can see this is the nucleus. And so I've told you that nucleus will be the central controller of the cell, but it is actually not in the center, it's in the corner. In this is a plant cell. Why it is in the corner of the plant cell? We can learn why in now in this subtopic vacuole. So we'll see that. So this bigger part, which is blank looking one, is a vacuole. So it could be a single or a big in some cells. Some cells have smaller vacuoles and large vacuoles are common in plant cells. So here we can tell a large vacuole, which is this one, is common in plant cells, so it's large. So this cell is a plant cell. And vacuoles are in animals are smaller. Okay. So you might have noticed several small colored bodies in cytoplasm of cell of Tradescantia leaf. They are scattered in cytoplasm of the leaf cells. They are called plastids. So these are different. These are different colors. Some of them contain green pigment called chlorophyll. These green colored plastids are called chloroplast. So they provide green color to the leaves. You may recall that chlorophyll in the chloroplast of leaves is essential for photosynthesis. So here we can see that plastids are of three types. This is the additional point. Remember, plastids are of three types: chloroplast, chromoplast, leucoplast. So about chromoplast and leucoplast we'll learn in another new video. Here we'll learn about chloroplast, which is a green pigment called chlorophyll. So in chloroplast there is a chlorophyll, which is a green pigment. It is contained in plants, some of the plants, which gives green color to the leaves. So this is essential in the photosynthesis. And the next topic, comparison of plant and animal cells. Now let's compare about plant cell and animal cell. So if you recall some of the activities actually, so this is a notice point because there are no activities. So you should be able to compare plant cell and animal cell. Now let's observe them. So this is in a notice point. So now still let's see this table. This table tells us some of the materials timetable. So some materials in the plant cell are absent or present in some cells or absent in some cells. So some of the materials which are in plant cell are present, which are some of them are not present in animals. So let us see. Here we can see that cell membrane is present in plant cell. Yes, it's present. In animal cell, yes, cell membrane is present in plants and animal cell, in every cell. Cell wall. So we have noted this is an additional one. This is present in only plant cell but not animal cell. Now, nucleus. Nucleus is the brain of the cell. So nucleus is present in plant and animal too. Nuclear membrane. Nucleus is bounded. I told you that nucleus is bounded with another boundary, which is the nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane is present in both plants and animals. As nucleus is present in both, nuclear membrane will be present in the both. Cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the material which is between the membrane and the nucleus. The middle part is the cytoplasm, so it will be in the plant and animal cell, but in every cell. Plastids. So we have learned that plastids are chloroplast, chromoplast, leucoplast. These three are present in plant cell but not animal cells. So tick for plant cell, wrong for animal cell. Vacuole. Vacuole is a substance which is bigger in plant cells, smaller in animal cells, but it is present in both cells. So both, we can just keep both for tick. Next, so here we observe that except cell wall and plastid, everything is present in animal and plant cell. Next, here animal cells. Some organelles are absent, some organelles are present in plant cells, some are present and some are absent. So we can see the parts of the plant cell. Let's observe in very detail as we have seen the material table. Now we will see through the diagram. So this is a plant cell. How we can find this is a plant cell? A vacuole is larger in plant cell, so it's large. That's why you can see that it's a plant cell. So why this nucleus is not in the center point? I've told you that I'll tell in a few minutes. So this is why, because vacuole is larger in plant cells, so it occupies the whole space in the cytoplasm. It occupies the whole space, and moves the other parts of the cell to the corners. That's why nucleus is in the corner. So plant cell contains a nucleus, mitochondria, cytoplasm of course, vacuole of course, membrane, extracell, additional one which is cell 1, chloroplast. What is chloroplast? This chlorophyll and the green color pigment. Yes, animal cell. So here in animal cell, we can see that there's a vacuole which is in small. So that's why nucleus is in the center of the cell. So this is cytoplasm, nucleus, vacuole of course, mitochondria, and membrane. So there is no cell wall and no chloroplast because chloroplast is a plastic. Plastids are not present in animal cells. Next. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon for more videos with notifications. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. See you in the next video.